Right, ready for this. We're diving into a conversation that went down in a Bronx barbershop.
Interesting. Right. Not exactly your typical political setting.
Definitely not.
Makes you wonder what went on.
So picture this.
Well, actually, we don't have to just picture it.
Oh, right.
They've got an audio recording of it.
Of course.
Donald Trump visits this barbershop,
Wow. Barbershop.
chats with voters.
And even signs a MAGA hat. We'll also hear what the Fox News commentators had to say about it. All right, let's unpack this. The vibe was super casual.
Yeah.
Like overhearing a chat between friends, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And guess what?
Right.
This barbershop was part of a Fox News series called Barbershop Talk.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Commentator Lawrence Jones visits barbershops across the country.
He does.
Yeah, trying to get a sense of what's on people's minds, what they're really talking about.
Interesting way to gauge public opinion.
I know, right? Going right to these community hubs.
Where people naturally gather.
Let their guard down.
Exactly.
And did they ever let their guard down?
Sounds like it.
The voters jumped right into major issues,
Like what?
especially the economy, inflation.
Yeah.
One barber even shared a story about his energy bill
Really?
shooting up from $2,100
No way.
to a mind-blowing $15,000.
That's a big jump. I mean,
seriously,
that's an incredible illustration
it is.
of how these economic forces
Yeah,
actually hit people where it hurts,
definitely.
Their businesses, their lives.
Not just numbers on a screen.
Right, exactly. Someone's livelihood.
It's
real.
at stake.
Yeah.
It makes the point loud and clear.
Uh-huh.
Policy decisions have real-world consequences.
Absolutely.
So how did Trump respond to these concerns? Well, he touched on some familiar themes, like energy independence.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, drill, baby, drill?
Yeah, of course.
Lowering interest rates and regulations.
It seems like he was targeting
Okay.
that economic anxiety,
Totally.
offering those solutions
Yeah.
that resonate with people who are feeling held back by the government.
Held back, yeah.
Hindering growth rather than helping.
He also mentioned the border. Claimed he had the strongest border in history during his presidency.
Oh, interesting.
A complex issue, of course.
Yeah.
And we're not here to take sides or anything,
Of course, of course.
but it's definitely something he emphasized.
It is interesting how politicians
Uh-huh.
tailor their message
Right.
to their audience,
For sure.
aligning themselves with
Yeah.
the concerns that matter most to those voters.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
One voter was worried about the American dream,
Uh-huh.
specifically about whether high taxes
Okay.
would mess with his children's future.
I see.
This sparked a whole discussion about taxes in general,
Oh, wow.
and Trump dropped this bomb.
What?
He suggested potentially eliminating federal taxes completely.
Wait a minute. Eliminate. Like,
I know.
get rid of them altogether.
That's what it sounded like.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is.
Didn't he also mention something about,
Yeah.
a time in history
He
when the U.S. relied on tariffs instead of income tax?
did.
The late 19th century, I think.
He did.
Now, that is something that deserves a closer look, for sure.
Definitely. It made me wonder what the U.S. would even look like without federal income tax. What happened during that period when tariffs were the main source of revenue?
Well, the U.S. government, at that time, they relied heavily on tariffs, which are essentially taxes on imported goods, to fund its operations.
Okay.
It did have its advantages. This approach, it protected American industries from foreign competition and generated quite a bit of revenue for the government.
Right.
Kind of encouraged people to buy American-made products.
So like a made in America kind of thing.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
there were downsides, too. Relying primarily on tariffs often meant higher prices for consumers
Oh.
and sometimes benefited wealthy industrialists
Okay.
more than lower-income families.
Oh, so there were some trade-offs.
There were, definitely.
That sounds like a pretty complex issue.
Or it is.
Yeah.
Raises some important questions about how we fund our government,
Yeah.
impact of different tax systems,
Right.
and what a truly fair and effective approach might be.
It really makes you think.
It does.
But let's get back to the barbershop for a second.
Okay.
Besides all the policy talk,
Uh-huh.
I noticed Trump really trying to,
Yeah.
connect with everyone there on a personal level,
Oh, yeah.
emphasizing that he understands their struggles,
Okay.
shares their values.
Mhm.
Almost like he was saying, hey, I'm one of you.
That personal connection
Yeah.
is a powerful tool in politics.
Isn't it?
It's about relatability.
Yeah.
building trust, making voters feel seen and heard.
Exactly. And he even admitted to making some staffing mistakes during his first term.
He did.
Yeah, he said choosing the right people is crucial.
Okay.
Well, I thought so too.
Acknowledging past mistakes can be a way of showing humility.
Right.
Growth.
As a leader, yeah.
Like saying, I'm not perfect, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
Striving to do better.
Speaking of learning and growing,
Yeah.
let's hear what the Fox News commentators observed about this whole thing.
Okay, what did they think?
They were really struck by the level of support.
Oh, yeah.
Trump seemed to be getting Black and Hispanic voters.
Wow.
They even mentioned that he held a large rally in the Bronx.
He did.
Right after a court delay.
Okay.
Suggesting, a deliberate effort to connect with those communities.
It's interesting.
It is. So far, this barbershop visit has shown us the concerns of everyday Americans. How political messages are tailored to different groups.
Yeah.
And maybe even a hint of what we might see in the coming election.
Fascinating.
I know, right? So before we jump into part 2, I've got a question for you.
Okay, shoot.
Do you think this informal setting,
The barbershop?
can actually give us genuine insights into what the nation is feeling?
That is a really thought-provoking question.
I know, right?
Perhaps these casual conversations, away from the media spotlight, reveal something more authentic about people's hopes, fears,
and aspirations.
You'll explore that further in part 2, so stay tuned.
Definitely stay tuned.
This barbershop conversation, it's such a contrast.
I know, right?
To the polished, scripted events we usually see in politics.
Absolutely.
This was a raw,
unscripted.
You could hear it in their voices.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the emotion as they talked about their struggles, their hopes. It felt real unfiltered.
Like a glimpse into their lives.
Exactly.
That rawness, that authenticity
Mm-hmm.
is what makes it so compelling. It allows voters to connect on a human level.
With the candidates? Yeah. See them
like people,
as people who get it.
who understand.
Right, like when that barber talked about his energy bill.
Tripling?
You could hear the frustration in his voice.
It wasn't just a statistic. It was
a real problem.
impacting his business, his family.
Right. It's those personal stories that humanize these issues.
And make them relatable. It's not just
abstract policy debates, but about how those policies affect
people's lives.
Exactly. And I think that's why Trump's message of economic populism seems to connect.
It does, right.
With certain voters.
It really does.
He's tacking into that.
Anxiety.
Economic anxiety.
Yeah.
Offering solutions.
Like what?
Tax cuts, deregulation, boosting domestic energy production.
It's a message that appeals to people
who feel left behind, who feel like the system isn't working for them.
Now, those Fox News commentators, they were really interested.
Yeah.
The support Trump seemed to be getting Black and Hispanic voters.
Oh, in that barbershop.
In the barbershop. They mentioned he's been
holding rallies. In areas
that don't typically
vote Republican.
So suggesting he's trying to expand beyond his base.
For sure.
It'll be interesting to see if
it translates
into votes.
Yeah, in the election.
Definitely.
But let's go back to that idea that Trump brought up. About
eliminating federal taxes.
Potentially.
Potentially. He mentioned the late 19th century when the U.S. relied on tariffs.
Instead of income tax.
Can you...
What do you want to know?
Shed some light on that period.
Okay.
How things worked back then.
Okay. Well, back then, tariffs on imported goods, that was the way the U.S. government
funded itself.
Okay.
There were some advantages.
Yeah.
This system protected American industries from foreign competition.
Right.
And brought in significant revenue.
So it was basically a way to promote American-made goods?
Exactly.
Okay.
But there were downsides, of course.
What were they?
Well, this system often led to
higher prices
for consumers.
Right.
Sometimes, benefited wealthy industrialists.
Okay. More than lower income households.
Yeah.
So there were
trade-offs. For sure.
It's complicated.
It is. It raises important questions about how we fund our government,
Right.
what impact different tax systems have,
Absolutely.
and what a fair
An effective approach.
might look like. It reminds us that our system has evolved. It has.
And it's all
Up for debate.
Up for debate.
It does make you think about how things could work.
It does. No, I'm curious about this
Barbershop Talk series.
Barbershop Talk series. What else?
What else do we know?
Well, it's
an interesting concept.
It is. He's going
to barbershops
across the country,
talking to
everyday people
about the issues
that they care about.
It seems like
a great way to get a feel
for the grassroots,
for what's happening outside of the polished world of, media and politics.
I'd love to hear
some of those conversations.
So those other conversations?
Yeah.
I bet they're great.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
It seems like a genuine way.
The genuine way
to understand
the American electorate.
Right. But getting back to Trump's visit, there was something else that stood out to me as particularly insightful.
Oh.
Do you remember?
When he admitted
to making staffing
mistakes, his first term.
Emphasized choosing the right people.
Yes, he framed it as a learning experience.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Implying that he's grown.
Yeah.
As a leader.
As a leader.
He understands the importance
of a strong team.
Right.
That's a common theme.
It is.
In leadership.
Wouldn't you say?
For sure. Recognizing that success relies not only on individual abilities, but on putting together
a talented team.
It highlights how leadership is a continuous journey.
It is
learning,
adapting, and evolving.
Couldn't agree more. It applies.
It does, right.
To everyone, not just those in high-profile positions.
Right.
The relationships, the mentors, the colleagues, they all shape our path and influence our success.
That's a good point.
It is.
It reminds us to be mindful of the people we allow
into our inner circle.
Our inner circle.
Yeah.
Their impact can be
profound. Yeah.
So, as we wrap up part 2 of our deep dive, into this Bronx barbershop encounter.
Yeah.
I think it's important to consider
the broader
a bigger picture of this event. I mean, beyond the specific
all the specific policies,
interaction with the voters.
Exactly.
This event highlights the importance
of what?
Engaging with diverse communities.
Understanding their concerns.
Absolutely. And it also emphasizes the power.
The power. Personal connection.
Personal connection.
In politics, something we've touched on a few times.
A few times already.
It's not just about
policy debates.
Campaign speeches.
Making voters feel
heard.
Building that trust.
Building that trust is key.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget,
what?
Politics isn't a spectator sport.
It's not.
It's about
active participation.
Engaging in dialogue.
Yeah, and working together.
To address the
challenges in our communities.
Our nation.
So, reflecting on this conversation, what are some key takeaways?
For our listeners.
Well, I think it reinforces the fact that there are many perspectives that we face
as a country.
Important
to listen
to those perspectives.
Even if
we don't agree.
We don't agree.
It's about
understanding
where people are
their experiences,
why they hold certain beliefs.
And it's also a remander that politics isn't just about
national issues. It's also local, everyday, people's lives.
Directly. Things like
the cost of living,
healthcare,
access to healthcare,
quality education,
safe communities.
That's what people care about.
That's what they care about. And it's often
at the local level.
Where we can make
the most impact.
The biggest difference.
By getting involved.
While supporting local businesses.
Advocating
for policies. That make a difference. Those are great points.
I think so too.
To keep in mind.
Something these ideas in part 3, so stay with us.
Definitely stay tuned. It really makes you think,
What's that?
About those staffing choices.
Oh, yeah.
What if they had been different?
Right.
Could things have turned out differently?
That's an interesting question.
I know, right?
I mean, the people a leader surrounds themselves with, they can have a huge influence.
On decisions, their plans.
Their legacy, even.
Absolutely. Like they say.
What they say.
You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with.
It's true.
And it's not just for presidents.
No.
It's for all of us.
It is.
The relationships we build.
The mentors, the colleagues.
Exactly. They all play a part.
In shaping our outcomes.
For sure.
It makes you think about the company we keep.
The people we let in.
Yeah, our inner circle.
Because their impact
can be huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into this barbershop encounter,
this Bronx barbershop,
I think it's important to step back for a second.
Okay.
And consider the bigger picture.
You mean
beyond the specifics?
Like what Trump said?
Yeah. Beyond that,
okay.
This event really highlights.
What does it highlight?
The importance of engaging diverse communities and trying to
understand their concerns. It also shows the power
of
personal connection, right?
In politics.
Something we've talked about a lot today.
We have.
It's not just about debate.
Policy speeches. It's about connecting with
voters
on a human level.
Making them feel heard.
Making them feel understood.
Building that trust.
Exactly. And remember, politics isn't
not a spectator sport.
It's about
participating,
engaging
in the conversation,
and working together to address those challenges.
The challenges that we face
as a nation, as communities.
So thinking about everything we've discussed, what are some
key takeaways?
For our listeners.
Well, it reminds us that there are so many perspectives.
So many.
On the issues we face as a country.
It's important to listen.
To listen to those perspectives.
Even if we don't agree.
With them.
Exactly. It's about understanding where people are coming from.
Their experiences.
And why they believe what they believe.
And it's also a reminder. Politics isn't just about
national issues.
It's also about local,
everyday concerns
that affect our lives
directly. Things
like the cost of living, healthcare,
education, the safety of our communities.
Those are the things
that people really care about. And it's often at the local level make the biggest difference getting involved in our community.
At the local businesses.
Advocating for policies that actually improve lives.
So, as we wrap up
our
deep dive, here's a final thought.
A thought-provoking question.
For our listeners.
What do you think?
What role do you think personal connection plays?
In shaping political beliefs and choices.
It's something to think about, right?
As we navigate the world of politics.
Definitely. And remember,
there's always more to learn.
Always more to explore.
You could research
historical periods of U.S. taxation.
Or check out Lawrence Jones's Barbershop Talk.
To hear more voices and perspectives.
Knowledge is power. And the more informed we are,
the better.
The better equipped we are.
For these conversations.
It's about the things that matter most.
Thanks for joining us.
On this deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.
For another insightful exploration.
Of the world around us.